Hi, this is Tim of the 1916 Company. Welcome and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, Team Mosso at the1916company.com for purchase pricing and availability questions concerning this watch. So today we're discussing a 2025 launch that is the latest refresh of Omega's Railmaster collection. The Railmaster, the Speedmaster, and the Seamaster in its dive form all debuted in 1957. The original CK2914, the first Railmaster, was a contemporary of anti-magnetic technicians' watches like the Rolex Mittelgauss and the IWC Ingenieur. In 2025, the Aquaterra-related Seamaster Railmaster has been redesigned. There are two different versions. One is center second, one is small second. This is the small second. It's got a sort of cream brown gradient dial, and it's the one that is a little bit more overtly vintage inflected. So the timepiece is smaller than a standard Aquaterra at 38 millimeters in diameter in steel. This can justly be called the point of entry to the Seamaster universe. In terms of how it fits, it's 38 in diameter, 12.6 thick, 44.9 from lug-to-lug, and with pivoted end links, they're definitely looking at this as a unisex option. So 44.9 lug-to-lug, it's got a 19 millimeter spacing between the lugs. This watch, which is short across the wrist, wears beautifully on my 16 centimeter circumference wrist. You can see what I mean when I say this is clearly intended with more of a gender-neutral type of size and stance. It is actually fairly flat by the standard of modern Omega watches. This will fit underneath a dress cuff or a tight sleeve. You can see how far inboard of the edge of my wrist the lugs are, so you could probably wear this on a wrist as small as 13.5 centimeters circumference. Here's your over the top, and that always exaggerates the width of the watch. The lugs are still far inboard of the edge of my wrist. The bracelet's a lovely piece. It too has a little bit of a vintage look. Of course, if you look at the original CK2914, it has a center seconds dial, but this watch is designed to be almost a play on the nostalgia of the broad arrow hand, the Arabic numerals, the shape of 1950s indices, the tri-Arabic font that's used, the vintage Railmaster script, the gradient fade, and of course the abundant photina. You can see that the bracelet is a short link design. We have individual removable links fixed in place using screws, and there are quite a few of them, so you're going to get a good fit here. Double folding clasp. You can see it is a sequential close, Omega logo external. You have to press both of the triggers to open it, so it is quite secure when it is closed. Rolling around to the case, the idea here is that it's a non-crown guard profile, very much like the current Aquaterra. We've got the lyre style lugs with the satin finished inward bevel and then the outward polished bevel that runs end to end but thins out at the mid case. Longitudinal satin finish. We do have an end link that conforms to the case, but you can see how it leaves a little bit of the shear of the case between the lugs. Again, going for an imperfectly integrated vintage look there. The bezel is a two-facet bezel. It's got this little vertical lip and then a domed profile. We've got a combination polished and media blasted screw-down crown here. It is 150 meters water resistant like the Aquaterra. Omega showed restraint in placing very little extraneous text on the dial. As you can see, all of the advertising is on the back. Water resistance, coaxial master chronometer, the caliber number, Seamaster family relation. You can see it as part of the Seamaster family. This is, after all, the Seamaster Railmaster. But that's all on the case back. The dial is nice, clean, and balanced. Neither version of the new Railmaster has a date. You can see that the use of photina here does not impede the legibility. It is quite bright in spite of the distinctly beige luminova shade that's used. And then there's a lovely gradient fade with a sort of matte granular texture to the dial itself. Only one subsidiary setting mode. You can see that we've got a hacking second function, and there's very little dead angle in the setting. You move the crown and the hands leap into action pretty quickly. So in other words, not a whole lot of slop built into the setting mechanism. Turn it all over, you can see caliber 8804. 8800 is basically the movement you'll find on something like a Diver 300 meter. It's a automatic winder with a 55-hour power reserve, 25,200 vibration per hour beat rate, which is endemic to a lot of Swatch Group silicon hairspring watches, and of which this is one. It does have an anti-magnetic silicon hairspring, and it is more than 15 times greater in anti-magnetic resistance than the original Railmaster. Of course, you can see on the back this is a master chronometer, so it's been through the Matas test, which includes, among other things, fully cased up 6-position timing, and it does meet and exceed the COSC as a bare movement, but fully cased up, it's tested in 6 positions for winding efficiency, power reserve, which is 55 hours, water resistance, durability, and anti-magnetism. It's actually hit with that greater than 1.5 Tesla magnetic force to verify its resilience. It has the stop seconds function. It's braced against shock with a full balance bridge and a free sprung balance for toughness. And then it's got the coaxial tangential friction escapement devised by George Daniels and implemented by Omega first in 1999 and since then across the entire range. And the main difference between this and a Swiss lever is the type of friction. It is tangential versus the sliding friction of a Swiss lever. So that's where this gets its extra power reserve, reduced maintenance requirements, and improved timekeeping. And again, this movement is everything a COSC movement is, but it is more above that. All that, and it's a 35 joule movement, mechanically finished, but handsomely enough, with arabesque Côte de Genève, both blackened and polished screws, and then a machined but attractive bevel. It's a good-looking movement and a good-looking watch with a lot of character from an all-time great brand, and a bit of a watch nerd model line. It's not a conventional Seamaster. It's definitely not a Speedmaster. This is the Omega you buy when you want something a little bit below the radar. Reach out to Team Mosso at the 1916company.com for purchase and pricing details.